have selected their defensive coordinator. And you did get confirmation they were not fake accounts, right? We are good to go.
We are good to go.
All right, so let's fall back now and talk about the deep dive that we did on Jonathan Gannon. If you guys are wondering who the hell is Jonathan Gannon, I don't know much about him. We did the write-up. Obviously, when they originally interviewed Jonathan Gannon, the Packers slated to interview. This was what day was that? Don't have the date, but you guys remember when they set that interview up. Obviously, he had multiple interviews. The Packers set up 2 interviews initially, which told you he was pretty high on their list, right? So let's go back to his playing days real quick, okay? Playing career for Jonathan Gannon. Gannon was a standout 3-sport athlete in high school before his playing career was cut short in college. High school, he attended St. Ignatius, if I'm saying that right, Ignatius in Cleveland. So he's an Ohio kid, where he won state championships in basketball and track hurdles and was an all-state defensive back. So he's an all-state defensive back playing football. In college, he attended the University of Louisville. He played safety from 01 to 02. He had an injury, so his playing career ended in 2002 following a severe hip injury suffered during his sophomore season. So again, those who can't teach, a lot of times guys who love the game, they get hurt, they can't play the game, they get into coaching immediately. That's what he does. He wasted no time, all right? So following his injury, he immediately transitioned into the coaching and scouting ranks. He was with the University of Louisville from 03 to 05, served as a student assistant while finishing his degree. In Louisville in 06, he was promoted to graduate assistant on Bobby Petrino's staff. Atlanta Falcons came calling in 2007. He became the defensive quality control coach. That was his first NFL role with the Atlanta Falcons in 07. Then he moved to the St. Louis Rams in 09 to 2011, spent 3 seasons on the scouting side, serving as a college scout in 09 and a pro scout in 2010 and 2011. So you got a guy, Jacob, all-state athlete in high school, gets a scholarship to play for the University of Louisville. He's playing defensive back, right? Gets hurt, career-ending injury, immediately transitions into coaching, and he's got a scouting background as well with the college years. Before we get into the NFL assistant side, how important is it for you for it to be a former player to be a coach, man?
I mean, I think it's huge. And just to confirm, we have Rob Domofsky now tweeting out Adam Schefter's report. So, yes, this is 100% official.
Thank you for checking.
People in the chat are asking. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that old adage of those that can't do teach, and that's not like a slight on him. It's just like you said, when your hip stops and you literally can't do the game anymore, who would you rather have? A guy that just kind of schemingly, would you have Emilio that plays rookie on Madden, or would you want a guy that actually has played the NFL game kind of thing? You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it. And honestly, we kind of both, I think, kind of pushed a little bit back, but we did say that Gannon, like, we understand the lore there. We understand also that I think that he didn't get a fair shake in Arizona. One, because just like no matter what you do as a head coach, if your quarterback's not completely in it, and I'm not saying necessarily that Kyler isn't the type of quarterback that you would want on your team, but I'm kind of saying he's kind of the quarterback I wouldn't want on my team. You know what I mean, Clay? Like, it's just a thing, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems like that if he had maybe somebody that was a little more like football based, that maybe that whole situation, that whole narrative is changed completely. So I like it. I'm fine with it. I think that I'm definitely going to throw on the jersey and just be like, let's go. Let's see what you got to do.
Yeah. All right. Let's shift to him being an NFL assistant with his coaching career. Okay. That started in 2012 up till 2020. Gannon spent nearly a decade establishing himself as one of the premier defensive backs coaches in the league. So he went to the Tennessee Titans in 2012 and 2013. He served as the defensive assistant and quality control coach. Then he moved on to the Minnesota Vikings in 2014. Looks like for 3 years there, assistant defensive backs coach under Mike Zimmer. All right. So Mike Zimmer was a very aggressive coach, a lot of blitzing, right? He came from Cincinnati, got the head coaching job in Minnesota. So I know that our boy Jonathan Gannon has a Fangio background, but he also has a Mike Zimmer background. That's why it's very, very important to understand that. He may, while in Philly and running a Fangio style, and the same thing in Arizona, he may have wanted just to bring pressure with 4, but it doesn't mean in the past he hasn't been a part of pressure, coaching staffs as well. And that doesn't mean he's going to go back to pressure. It just simply means maybe he's seen that, didn't like it, and wanted to steer towards a Fangio style, right? So it's important to understand where they've been the entire time. He was instrumental in the development of Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith during a period where the Vikings boasted a top 5 defense. So under Mike Zimmer, they had a top 5 defense. He was coaching up Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith. Now he moved on to the Indianapolis Colts 2018 to 2020. He was a defensive backs coach under Frank Reich. He helped the Colts secondary become a disciplined, high takeaway unit, contributing to 2 playoff berths in 3 years there with the Colts. Now, on to coordinator. He puts on his big boy pants. All right, you ready for this? Puts on his big boy pants in Philly in 2021 to 2022. Defensive coordinator 2022. His defense finished second in the NFL in total yards and led the league with a historic 70 sacks, helping lead the team to a Super Bowl victory. Now, here's the thing, right? Like Chris N says, Jonathan Gannon runs a multiple front. That's huge because some people we're going back to a 34. We're already running multiple fronts, to be honest with you. People throw 4-3 and 3-4 around like it's I mean, hell, we had a 3-4 defense, and Matt LaFleur was talking about we only play 2 gap when they go to 2 back. So we were already playing 1 gap principles. There was just so many people that didn't truly understand what was going on.
That's kind of what this
on the fly.
Sorry, what this comment is, I think that Chris actually highlighted here. It says Jonathan Gannon runs a multiple front, zone-heavy defense, heavily influenced by the Vic Fangio system, emphasizing a match quarters coverage and a four-man rush to disrupt passing games without blitzing. Right. That's kind of like what you just said right there. Yeah. Like he likes to disguise a lot of stuff.
There's people that are going to see that and they're going to go, we're going back to Joe Barry. Time out. Joe Barry's final year, we weren't running a Fangio system. They had shifted it to where we were majority middle field close. We wasn't playing quarters match. Now, again, people get confused with pre-snap and post-snap. Pre-snap shell, we'll probably see a lot of that with Gannon, unless he's changed his philosophy and you want to mug a lot. I just told you guys, I like to mug. I like those guys mugging the line of scrimmage and dropping out like Hafley did. Gannon may go back to the 2-high shell, and what that does is you're showing quarters match and you're forcing the quarterback to post-snap read, and typically they will can out when you see a 2-high shell, and they'll go to something to attack underneath, right? Maybe to a run play, maybe to a concept that floods a zone on one side that's really going to make you a little more advantageous against a match coverage of the quarters variety, all of that. So again, we got to take all this with a grain of salt, right? He may run something totally different here. Matt LaFleur may want him to press into something a little bit different, but it is going to be a multiple front, and I think you will see a lot of matches, sounds like. So,
what do you think about Martin's comment here?
Green Bay needs a 3-tech bad to run this system correct. Every system needs a 3-tech, Martin. That's my opinion. It doesn't matter what scheme you're running, what system you're running. You need a dominant 3-tech. A dominant 3-tech makes it go, right? If you don't have a dominant 3-tech, then you got to manufacture pressure, right? 3-tech on one side, dominant edge on the other. That's how you want to roll. So you got Micah Parsons. You're good to go there. Will Devontae Wyatt be a dominant 3-tech? We haven't seen him dominate. I think he's been good, but you got to continue to look for that. And I'm telling you, there's one dude in this draft that is not going to be around when the Packers pick in the second round, but God, I'm in love with him, man. That Georgia kid, we did a profile. We'll talk about him a little bit later today, but man, you talking about like an 11% pass rush win rate or something crazy. It's insane, dude, how well he was playing at Georgia. But anyway, carrying along here, let's try to finish this up. So they were second in the NFL in total yards and led the league with a historic 70 sacks, helping lead the team to the Super Bowl, right? And then he goes to the Arizona Cardinals as a head coach. 2023, they finished 4-13 while managing the recovery of Kyler Murray. 2024, they showed significant improvement with an 8-9 record remaining in the playoff contention until late in the season. So they went from 4-13 to 8-9. And then in 2025, after a 2-0 start, the team suffered from key injuries and finished 3-14, leading to his departure in January of 2026. So again, what do you want to look at? Do you want to look at what he did as a head coach in Arizona, or do you want to look at what he did dominating as a defensive coordinator in Philly? That's the big questions, right? So when you get to that point, I'm always going to lean toward what did he do as a DC as opposed to what he did as a head coach. Because, I mean, Jeff Hafley, if we ran it through that filter when Hafley was hired, we immediately talked about, damn, his defensive numbers at Boston College at the college level were mediocre, right? Well, he was a head coach, you know. Some would say he didn't even call plays at BC, never called plays in his life. Now, there were other people saying as co-defensive coordinator for Ohio State. He called the plays. There was only one guy that I seen reporting on that. I'm sorry, I need multiple sources. I'm not going to just trust me, bro. I ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, just because he's a bad head coach doesn't mean he's going to be a bad DC. Now, I'm going to be honest, completely upfront. My opinion, he wasn't my top choice. But Jeff Hafley was not my top choice. Jeff Hafley was on nobody's radar. What you got, Jake?
No, nothing. Randomly, your text message just went through at 9:04 as we're sitting here live.
For real?
No, yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. I seen you over there, and I was like, "What the heck?" So these are Arizona's defensive numbers that don't even really apply. Again, man, they were bad defense when he was the head coach in Arizona. There's no doubt about it. You guys can go check those numbers out. Now let's talk about the coverage that he called. Okay, in 2025. All right, so. In 2025, the coverage scheme for the Arizona Cardinals, try not to look at the EPA per dropback, that's cheeks, but what did they call? 25% of the time, they called cover 4 quarters. Now, it wasn't what they called the most, okay? They called 27% of the time cover 3. Now, there's probably match principles, just like we seen with Hafley. There were cover 3 match calls all over his tape, all over his play call sheet, okay? So cover 3, 27% of the time. 25% of the time it was cover 4. Why do I mention that first? Because he called cover 4 defense more than anybody else in the league other than the Falcons, which was tied at 25% as well. So it's going to be cover 4 heavy along with cover 3. And then the next after that would be cover 1 man, so middle field close, single high man coverage. And then after that would be cover 2 zone. The biggest change you're going to see here, if he presses into what he was doing at Arizona, is you're going to see a significant dip from cover 6 defense calls, okay? What I mean by that, the Packers called cover 6, which is quarter, half. It's half cover 2, half cover 4. We called that 16% of the time last year under Hafley. The Arizona Cardinals only called it 7% of the time. So it would be literally more – it would be less than half, I should say, that you'll be seeing cover 6. So what Gannon's probably going to do is cover 3, cover 4, and cover 2. And when you go man coverage, single high man, he did call goose 3% of the time, not an astronomical number, although the Packers call goose 2%. And goose is just 0 man. It's no safeties on the shelf. Man coverage across the board and blitz everybody else. A lot of green dogs attached there.
To that credit, when I did happen to look down at the phone, it says Jonathan Gannon called cover 4, just like you said, cover 4 quarters on 23% of his total snaps with the Cardinals, first in the NFL in that season. Gannon calls more quarters than any other NFL coach. Hafley's package were on 20th, like you just said, in quarters usage. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of a shift there.
There's going to be more quarters calls for sure. And here's the thing too, with this number with 25%, that comes from, shout out to them on X. Go give them a follow at @fball_insights. They are a phenomenal follow on X. That's where this came from. You were saying 20, how much percent cover 4, Jacob? Because they had 25 here.
Yeah, they said 23.
Okay, so 2% difference there. And again, everybody may have different numbers there, but you see in the ballpark, anything over 23% is going to be significantly higher. And again, they even said with their chart that he ran the most quarters. Or
does that indicate to you any sort of shift that they would try to do maybe in the draft or the offseason as to accommodate that type of place call?
I don't think so, because Goody's going to do Goody, man. You know,
yeah.
I think Goody's going to continue to build the roster the way he wants to build it. I can't imagine. Let's forget.
Let me ask, if it was you, if you were the GM, would you try to draft a certain type of player with a certain type of skill set, if that makes sense?
With quarters coverage, let me think here. You want to hit home before. Again, I think that Goody's been trying to get the best players at every position. I don't think he's been going, I'll put more emphasis here or there. I think he sticks to the board, and it is what it is. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but you want to be able to get pressure with 4, right? You can get pressure with Micah Parsons, okay? LVN really started to peak. I think he was somewhere right at 12% pressure rate, according to NFL Pro and Next Gen Stats GPS tracking. So roughly 11 to 12% for LVN on one side. You've got our boy Micah Parsons on the other. If Rashawn Gary comes back, Rashawn Gary was at 12.5%. He actually led all of our edge defenders at pressure percentage. He also led the team in sacks, other than Micah leading in everything, obviously all world. If you bring back Gary and you go back to a 4-man rush, with Micah, Gary, LVN in the 3. That's the thing too. Are we gonna continue to march out those what used to be called a NASCAR package, what we called Cheetah, 3 edge rushers? You could, but there was a lot of mugging going on that allowed you to kind of mask that a little bit in the run fit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying, Jacob. What you need for this is a dominant 3 tech. You know what you need in Fangio's system out there in Philly? You need a dominant 3 tech. You know what you need in Florio's system with the 0 blitz and all that? A dominant 3 tech. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're running. It's kind of it's the piece that you need probably more than anything. I think more so than an edge rusher, to be honest with you. You ask any quarterback in the league, all right, which would you rather face? A dominant edge rusher or a dominant B-gap pass rusher? They're going to say, oh, I'd rather deal with the edge. I can make him miss. But when they're pushing that pocket back in your lap and you're trying to step up to your second read and fire the pigskin, that's a hard get there, man, for sure. So let's see here. We got this one too we missed. Let me hit this one real quick. Mike Z with the super chat says he is unexpected but is a great coordinator with coaching multiple schemes. I see this as giving us a chance to win multiple ways on D. Go back. It's funny too, Mike. I think you were the one who asked the question earlier. Which one gives us, whoever it was, which one gives us the best chance now? What was my answer? It was
Gannon.
To say it, but Gannon's probably the one best right now, right? So it wouldn't be my top choice, but that's how I would have to answer that question because we don't know what Durante Jones would be, or even Al Harris would be as a DC, or even Jim Leonhard would be as a DC. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Let me hit this last super chat, and then we'll get ready to wrap up here because we definitely went over on that. Packer Doug with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, Clay, are there certain positions you look to draft for versus those you go to in free agency? Seems like I'd want a free agent center. Agreed, Packer Doug. We've seen, man. I feel like Goody's a good GM. Now, you guys know I'm not like crazy about him. I'm not one of these people that Goody can do no wrong. I think that's really weird. Same thing with LaFleur. Like I wanted LaFleur back, and it felt like I was in the minority, but lo and behold, we ended up being, in the large majority there, right? But it doesn't mean that Matt LaFleur is perfect. Same thing with Goody. But when it comes to center, we took a swing on Josh Myers. We missed. They hit on Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey was better in year 2 and 3 than he was his rookie year, right? So if you can bring in a center like Linderbaum or Drew Dahlman, right? If you can bring those guys in, they're ready. They've already been in the trenches. They know how to identify blitzes. They know how to identify protection and help the quarterback set the protection, right? And get everything. And then on top of that, run blocking. You get a young rookie that comes in, like if we do go with a Jake Slaughter in the draft, and that's our starting center. Yeah, the future looks bright, but who would you rather have? That'd probably be the better way to ask you this, Doug. Would you rather have a rookie Jake Slaughter, who's right now projected to be the best center in the draft? Would you rather have him or Drew Dahlman? Would you rather have Jake Slaughter or would you rather have Tyler Linderbaum? I'd rather have Tyler Linderbaum. In terms of specific position, center is one of those, yeah, man, I want a veteran there, dude. I mean, think about the great Packer teams in the 90s. Frank Winters playing center, right?
Frankie Bag of Donuts.
Yeah, Frankie Bag of Donuts. And then also when the Packers won in 2010, Scott Wells.
I was going to say Scott Wells. Which
he was a dude that they cut him one year and put him on the practice squad, and he got pissed, and he battled his way back. And that was a dude that, like, he was a veteran. He may not have been the best center in the league, but he's a guy who's been around. You look across the league, man, and it's hard to find a team that's doing great with an extremely young center. They usually need 2 or 3 years experience. So I think it's a great question, Doug, and that's the way I would look at it, man. I definitely want a veteran at center. So anyway, we got to wrap this up, guys, with that breaking news. I got to get this video out to everybody. So, if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know. What do you think about Jonathan Gannon? How do you feel about that defensive coordinator hire? Was he your top choice? Maybe he wasn't your top choice, but you understand, hey, with this window being open, he gives us the best shot right now. Let us know in the comments what you think. Hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future live streams. I'm going to get all this edited and out to everyone. We appreciate everybody jumping in here, all the super chats, Mike Witt, Mike Z, Packer Doug, Paige and Dr. Crutch, everybody in the super chats. Thank you all so much. Everybody in the chat too, man. It was on fire today. So we'll be back later today. I'm going to reset everything. We'll get into some draft talk later today. But again, I'm glad we were able to break that Jonathan Gannon news. So everybody have a great day. That's Jacob. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. Bye, guys.